My daughter.
Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago.
Since opening its gates in 2001, Chicagoland Speedway has been defined by one thing: close racing. During its IndyCar years, this 1.5-mile oval delivered moments that still echo through the sport, including one of the closest finishes in series history when Sam Hornish Jr. edged Al Unser Jr. by just 0.02 of a second. Championships were decided here, fuel tanks ran dry on the final lap, and legends were made under the lights. And when the cars put on fenders, the drama didn't stop. Chicagoland became a place where starting position didn't matter, where drivers charged from deep in the field to victory. Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart all found the way to the front on this track, proving that patience, speed, and nerve win. Now, after years away, one of NASCAR's most unpredictable venues is back on the schedule, and the question is simple: who will write the next chapter with Chicagoland Speedway? Tonight, it's the PSRA Open ARCA Series Windy City 150, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Chicagoland Speedway. I'm Steve Singer with Track Limits Network, joined in the broadcast booth by Chris Goins. How are we doing, Chris?
Hey, Steve. Doing good. How about you, buddy?
Doing well. Getting ready after a little bit of a break here for the holiday. Back in action. The PSRA Open ARCA Series. Let's take a look at the race details as practice winds down. Weather-wise, 67 degrees. Ambient temperature, 38% humidity. Partly cloudy skies. 3-mile-per-hour breeze. Almost nothing out here in Chicago. Not really a windy night here in the Windy City. Track temp, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Race distance tonight, 100 laps, 150 miles, a 70% fuel load on board, 4 sets of tires available over the wall, no fast repairs, count them, 0, zip, zilch, and 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish. Taking a look at the best lap times so far this evening. Fastest so far is Andrew Phipps, 29.129. Bobby Jr. second quick with a 140. Matt Nicholson, 154. Jeremiah Holt is fourth quick with a 167. And Mr. Ryan Dunkelberger, fifth quick, 29.187. Minute and a half left in the session before we get right into qualifying. So, Chris, an interesting thing here tonight. We always try to make a pick before the race gets started, but looks like Brandon Minnick will be in the field tonight, but he had shoulder surgery last week, so he's going to be driving literally with one arm, heavily medicated. He says, "Don't pick me to win. I'm just here so I don't get fined."
Yeah, I was reading that too, Steve. If there's anybody that can do that, it's going to be Brandon. He's been known to send it 3 wide up the middle with the control. So if anybody can, you know, overcome some adversity, I think it'd be Brandon.
See how that plays out. Phipps has been fast in practice all night. Hasn't really come off that top spot, so we'll see what kind of race that the 57 gets here this evening. Maybe park that thing in victory lane. Minnick, I don't think I've necessarily seen him. Yeah, he's shown 10th quick, so not terrible in the running order. So, Chris, as I always ask, what's kind of the keys to success around a place like this? Chicagoland Speedway, really unique with that back stretch. Can't really call it a straightaway. The whole place is just one big giant corner.
Yeah, this place is fun. You know, with the tire wear that you do get here, definitely got to keep those underneath you. But you know, paying attention on the back stretch, like you mentioned, it is curved. So if you're not paying attention, you know, you're side by side with someone to your outside. You know, they have the wall as a reference. You only have them as a reference. So where you think you're going straight and they're curling back into you, you might see some door banging there on the back stretch, getting into 3. Should be pretty interesting.
We have been, my personal experience at least, when you're tucked up behind a guy just an inch or two off the back bumper, it is very easy just to kind of naturally assume that it's a straightaway, and then you just drive yourself into the wall as well. That happens quite a bit when you lose those sight lines.
Absolutely, yeah. And once you're in that wall getting into 3, it takes a lot to get off that wall.
Cole Ansley, your first to roll off a pit lane to start his Q run. Also want to make mention here, I think we're, 49 days out from the first race of the season in the Cup Series. Daytona 500 coming up here pretty soon. The countdown has begun.
Yeah, it's hard to believe how short that off season is. Don't get me wrong, I'm very thankful because I'm missing it. But that off season is so short, it'll be here before we know it.
Got to worry about Watkins Glen, especially, at least on our end. I know we always talk about that, at least I do, just being close proximity to that track. That's kind of the place that we make sure we get to at least every year, once a year. But that race can be Mother's Day weekend. There's a lot of talk in the social media world about what do we do if it snows? It's a very good question, so we'll have to see how that plays out too.
Yeah, that is a big deal. I didn't even think about that. And you guys often see snow that late in the year?
Mother's Day, yeah, down there, especially up on top of the hill in the Glen, it's really quite a bit higher elevation than the village of Watkins Glen. It gets very cold. I mean, there's been snow there the old Formula One weekend, the first weekend in October back in the days, that be 75 degrees and brutal sun, and then freezing and snow when you get up in the morning.
Wow. Well, throw some chains on the tires and let's roll, right?
Yeah, right. Cole Ansley wrapping up his Q run, 29.44, puts him outside pole for now. Ryan Dunkelberger wrapping up with a 49. He's 5th quick. A lot of guys not wasting any time to get out on the racetrack. Josh Ingram is 14th. 29.83 his first lap. We'll see if he can pick up the pace here on lap 2. Ingram across the line. 11th quick, picks it up. A few tenths faster. 29.650 puts him 11th. David Bradford goes P12 with a 29.32. A.J. Rogers quickly to the top 6 with a 47. Another driver we expect to see some pace out of tonight, the 58 of Corey Bigley. A lot of drivers sporting the 16 Forever logo on the hood in honor of Greg Biffle. Great to see that. Of course, we've got it in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. We'll keep that up here up until the new year just to kind of pay our respects to Biffle and family and the pilots and everybody else on board that flight just before Christmas. Bigley across the line, a minute and a half to go, 15th quick with a 75. Lap 2, definitely the lap of record for just about everybody if they can keep them both clean. Chris Klein is 9th quick on his first lap. We'll keep an eye on the 51 to see if he improves a chunk. Yeah, I'll get it out. It's that 1 week off, man. Klein goes pole, 29.31 for Chris Klein. Big time jump. Really quick first lap, too. 29.316 for Chris Klein. Corey Bigley finishes up with a 55. He'll sit 11th. Steve Luttrell with just under a minute left. He'll cross start finish to lock in his first lap. '20th quick for Steve Luttrell, 29.840. Don't think he's got time to get this next lap in. Minnick, Blaze, Johnson, Truxell, and Kimber opting to sit qualifying out. Minnick makes sense. He's just trying to save his strength. That'll do it for qualifying. It's over. Chris Klein, a surprise pole position. A very quick second lap for the 51. Really nailed that one. So let's get to it. Our starting grid for the Windy City 150. Chris Klein on the pole position with a lap time of 29.316, flanked by the 13 of David Bradford. Missed it by 10 one-thousandths of a second. Row number 2, it's Matt Nicholson and Will Jones. Row number 3, Jeremiah Holtz and Cole Dansley. Row 4 belongs to A.J. Rogers and Alan DeFries. Starting in the 5th row, Ryan Dunkelberger and Bobby Hamilton Jr. Likely to have a good race setup here tonight for the 25. Corey Bigley in the 58 will start 11th. 12th goes to Will Hewitt. 13th starter, it's Andrew Phipps from Stinger Motorsports and Josh Ingram in the 56. Rodney Roberts will start 15th. Terry Wilson, 16th. 17th starter from Lone Star Racing, it'll be Mike Fahey. Ken Couch, teammate of Mike Fahey, will start 18th. Frank Griffith, 19th. Steve Luttrell will roll off 20th. 21st starter, Ian Kimber. Drew Blaze, 22nd. Brandon Minnick, 23rd. Justin Johnson, 24th. And shotgun on the field, the number 5 of Mark Truxell. It'll be fun to watch the 5 tonight. See how quickly he can work his way to the front. I don't know if it's going to be quick, but he'll be there. And we got William Luttrell in the chat. Stephen Luttrell fan club is in the house. Thanks for checking in. Already a bunch of stream chatters. Thanks, guys, for saying, hey, keep it up all race long. That is a really cool thing for y'all to do. We do appreciate that sort of thing. Rodney Roberts needs to make the grid. So does Drew Blaze. Whether they're starting from the back or not, we really got to try and get these guys to get gridded and then quickly exit if they have to start from the pits or something of that nature. Helps get the process moving along. Well, Mr. Goins, if you can hear me, I see you're muted. Do you got a pick tonight?
You know, I was just sitting here thinking about that, Steve. I think that number 46 is kind of calling my name.
Will Jones.
Yeah. Wrong pick.
Jones has had some tough luck this season. We'll see if he can turn that around and put it into victory lane. But I'm going to go with the winner from Daytona, the old 13 Crown Apple machine. That's David Bradford, outside pole sitter here tonight. Not necessarily the best qualifier, at least this season, but front row start for the 13 really puts him in an advantage ahead of the game. We'll see if he can park it in victory lane. 2 teammates, interestingly enough, that we picked for the win tonight.
Well, hopefully they work together a little bit and stay out of each other's way.
That's all you can do. Race details again if you missed it. 67-degree ambient temps, 37% humidity, partly cloudy skies, 3-mile-per-hour breeze, track temp falling now down to 69 degrees Fahrenheit. That'll help with the grip later on. 100 laps the distance at 150 miles, 70% fuel on board. 4 tire sets available over the wall. No fast repairs. You break it, you buy it. 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish, if so needed.
flag.
Green flag in the air, and we're racing from Chicagoland. David Bradford out to the early lead. In fact, he will just barely lead lap number 1 as Will Jones rockets to the inside, looking for the top spot himself. Oh, trouble. Turn number 2. We got cars in the wall. Josh Ingram is one of them. A.J. Rogers, another. Slow on the backstretch. No caution waved. Pretty heavy damage on the Josh Ingram machine. Sparks flying out from underneath it. Can't tell from this angle, but right front damaged pretty heavily. And that's going to be a night ender, I think, for the 56. A.J. Rogers looks very similar. Front end shaking off here. Tough way to start things off, but Will Jones with the race lead now. Quite a distance back to the second row. David Bradford, Colt Ansley. Colt on the bottom of the racetrack, the Bump and Run Podcast Chevrolet. Bobby Hamilton Jr. working his way up. He's gained 5 positions as well. On board with Bradford in the second spot. Still, Bradford Aeroworks 1-2, 5 laps in. Bradford aggressive back to the throttle. Chris, what's the real benefit to that? You hear some guys that are real hard on throttle and getting back after it into the corner. Some guys real gentle and deliberate with their throttle inputs. What's the differences really between the two?
I think the guys that you see, like Bradford, who gets real heavy back into the throttle, I think he's trying to steer the car more with the throttle than he is with the steering wheel. A lot of guys try to keep the steering wheel almost as straight as possible as they can in the corner. So they almost steer. It's kind of very dirt track-esque. It's not straight. A lot of the guys that you see rolling back into the throttle, they're using more of the wheel, a little bit tighter setup. That's me personally. I personally like a little bit tighter car, and be able to work the throttle some. One guy's going to kind of burn up the right front a little bit more than the other, and one's going to kind of burn up the right rear a little bit more. So just kind of personal preference on how you like the drivability of your car, for sure.
We've heard Bradford talk about it over the years. It's one of the things that I remember him trying to teach me when I was trying to figure out these ovals myself. Never got a real good hang of it, but certainly got better with his guidance. He said the same thing. He's like, the goal is move the steering wheel as little as possible when you're trying to drive out of the corner, and that sums it up perfectly, Chris. That's really what he's doing. He's stabbing that throttle pedal to get the back of the car to step out just enough, so he really doesn't need to put a whole lot of wheel input into it. But you're right. It does put a little more stress on that right rear tire, and the opposite, like you're saying, with the car being more tight, you're going to burn up that right front. So you just kind of have to pick and choose, and it also gives him an opportunity to kind of change his driving style throughout the course of the race, depending on what those tires are behaving like.
Yeah, for sure. And with the setup, I mean, as you'll probably see, he's kind of running towards the top right now. Later in the run, if his right rear is kind of starting to move down a little bit, he's just kind of searching around for that right scenario for balance of his race car. So as you see the tires wear, you'll see the cars react differently. So they kind of, best drivers can run anywhere and find that right spot. You see Bobby Hamilton up in the wall there.
Bobby Jr. up the racetrack, scrapes the outside wall. They're 4 wide for a moment now. Everybody's still 3 wide as it come back to start finish. Bobby having to gather the car back up, maintains now the 5th position, but he's got Chris Klein to his inside. Klein was lightning fast in qualifying, put it on pole, but has slipped back to the 7th or 8th spot now. Big pack of cars now in the back stretch. Ryan Dunkelberger in the mix as well, the 55 to the inside of Rodney Roberts. Now Roberts into the fence on entry to turn number 3. Chris, we talked about how deceiving that backstretch can be as they're banging fenders off of turn 4. That really does kind of throw your entry off into turn number 3. A lot of guys like to get just an inch off that wall before they turn down into the corner. Knowing that you have to avoid the wall on the backstretch kind of makes that a little challenging.
Yeah, I mean, getting in that corner with that curvature that is up there on the backstretch, that curve gets even sharper getting into 3, so it kind of jumps out and catches you.
Oh, Cole Ansley in the wall almost took out somebody there. I didn't catch who it was, but boy, was that close.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, Steve, where you kind of get in the wall into 3. It's hard to get the car off the wall without doing exactly what Colt did. You're kind of jerking the wheel to the left to get it off the wall, working that throttle, and it just pulled him straight across the track. It looked like he almost took out Bobby Hamilton.
We talk that whole line of the wall magnet. We used to talk about it quite a bit in the older ARCA car prior to this update. That thing was so offset to the right in the right rear of the car. Once you got it in the fence, you had to almost turn the wheel all the way down 45 degrees to get it off the wall. And then, of course, it finally catches, and now you're in traffic. Nicholson in the fence a little bit off of turn number 2. Will Jones and Bradford still 1 and 2. Dunkelberger to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to take away the 3rd spot from Matt Nicholson. Nicholson started 3rd. He's doing a decent job maintaining it, but for how long? Dunkelberger fast down the straightaway. Now Bobby Jr. to the back bumper, gives him a little shot just before corner entry, shoots him around the 4. Bobby's going to try and follow the 55 on through, but not enough just yet. Little wiggle in the back end of the race car off turn 4 as well. Will Hewitt moving through the field now into the top 10 after a 12th place start. He's shown in the 7th position. Corey Bigley sweeps down to the bottom of the track. Had a big run off of turn number 4. Didn't want to waste it. He's now in the 6th position, trying to take more now. Will Hewitt up to 5th. He's the next on the list for the 58. While Will Jones and Bradford are starting to check out from the rest of the field. They're enjoying almost a 2-second advantage from the rest of the pack. Matt Nicholson having some trouble at the back of the field here at, mid-pack, about 11th. Car seems a little bit hard to handle for him, at least at the present time. He's lost 8 spots from the start of this race. You got to wonder, Chris, if he happened to accidentally put the Q setup in that race car for the race itself. We've seen guys do that in the past.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that myself. And then you got to just make it to that pit stop, see if you can make some small adjustments here and there to try and dial in what you've changed. Hopefully you get some smoke there.
Trouble on the speedway. Will Hewitt, potentially it is. So Will Hewitt in trouble, puts us under yellow for the first time tonight, lap 20. He was up to the 5th position at the time. Let's see what happened here to the 33. Oh, contact with Rodney Roberts. Sends him across the nose. I don't know how much Corey Bigley got of that. He seemed to get away with it. We'll have to check the 58 here momentarily. Looks like a couple of drivers going for the same piece of real estate, and somebody had to give. Oh, looks like Rodney got into the back of him first. Oh, Mark Truxell going down to the apron, just narrowly missing that one. So pit stop's already underway. The field's going to come down and take service. So it does appear, I think we've got everybody on pit lane. Drew Blaze, though, I want to make note of the 88 machine. He did register for this session, but did not take the green flag. So Blaze will be credited with 25th and last place tonight. Chris Klein with a number 1 pit stall, but 4 tires and fuel going on to 51. Maybe some chassis adjustments for Chris Klein's machine as well. He's got some work to do. That car was fast in qualifying, but hasn't shown the right kind of pace here in the race. And Chris, I don't know, did that car go up on the jacks on the... Oh, it's multiple. Oh, no.
Yeah. I wonder if he's in some sort of infinite loop.
We've seen that in years past in different scans of this race car, but it looks like he put 2 sets of tires on that race car in 1 stop. That's a problem.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll see that, like, as guys are coming in, trying to make changes to, you know, what tires they're taking, what tires they're not. Maybe he didn't have any selected, and then he needed to click on them real quick, and then it doubled up on him. So hopefully it doesn't affect him adversely in the race, but we'll see what happens.
We've seen that glitch in the past where guys would come down for that first pit stop and it would change all their tires until they ran out of tires. Hopefully that's not the case. It doesn't appear to be, but nevertheless, those tires, once they get bolted on and taken off, they go away. All the more reason for iRacing, if you're listening, to add the ability to use scuffed tires. You know they could do it.
That would be interesting. Using a quali set of tires or something like that, have those would be that could be a game changer there for a late race strategy.
Or even a set that you got 10 laps on and it's all right, well, I'm going to bolt on 4 now. I'll save these for later. It obviously stores the information on how much tire wear they have. There's no reason why that couldn't be data that's saved and then applied later on to the set that you bolt back on, albeit with lower tire pressure. There's some work to do there, but it absolutely could be done.
Absolutely.
Front row is going to be Bradford and Jones. Restart coming at lap 23.
Green flag.
Will Jones with a good run down to turn 1 and 2, but on the bottom of the racetrack, Bradford going to power back around. I don't think he's going to get clear here, and Jones will have a whale of a run headed down into turn number 3. We'll see if he can take that lead back and get clear of teammate David Bradford.
You know, something you don't see a ton of tracks that you saw here is with Will taking the outside on the restarts. So you almost wonder, you know, he's testing that to see what that's going to look like for a late race. David's holding steady, but I mean, Will's been able to keep the lead. But I know that high line has been, you know, primary lane for a lot of guys. So see how that plays out later on in restarts if we get any more.
Well, the other thing, too, is Jones has such a strong race car here tonight. I don't think he was too worried about it. Even if Bradford got him on the restart, I think he had enough in the tank to get back around. He did it in the earlier stages of this race. Why not be able to do it again? But the other aspect to it is these guys are in communication with each other throughout the race. They could have timed that restart. Jones may have given him the benefit of the doubt and said, hey, man, I'm going to tell you when I'm going to fire off, so he could time that restart without getting a penalty.
Yeah, it's good to have fast teammates that you can work together with like that, bounce things off each other, and work scenarios and track position and things like that to kind of keep the competition behind you.
Jones, though, really on fire here tonight. He's led, I believe, every lap up into this point. Phipps, who was fastest in practice, has found himself up into the second position. Not a great qualifying run for Andrew Phipps. He was 13th. Definitely has a race pace car.
Something interesting that you're looking at right here, Steve, with Will. He ran the top side of the track for most of that first run, and even the beginning part of this run. Now he's switched to the bottom as the 57's gotten closer. He's kind of cutting that hair off his nose, trying to give him a little bit of aero push and make it a little bit harder for him to get to him, make him stall out a little bit. So that just shows you the handling of the 46, where he can just put his car anywhere he wants and back.
Phipps, though, right in the tire tracks of Will Jones and starting to close the gap. We'll see if the 57's got anything for Will Jones, who's really been the class of the field here tonight. I want to make a mention here. Robin Dunn R1K has been spamming the chat. I don't know if it's a bot or if it's a legitimate fan of somebody in the race here tonight, but I've put you in timeout, sir. In a half an hour, when you're allowed to communicate again, let us know if you're real. We would appreciate it. Top six broken away from the field, and there's trouble down the backstretch. Is it Mark Truxell and Will Hewitt? It is. Not a significant impact for anybody, it seems, but Will Hewitt in trouble again. Second caution of the night involving the 33. And it looks like Will might be jumping out, and he does. He's going to tow back to pit lane, throws his hands in the air and says, you know what? Tonight's not my night. So let's take a look. Oh, this is way ahead of Mark Truxell. There's a front bumper cover missing off somebody's car.
Yeah, Hewitt's right front's gone in that too. Wonder if it comes back, but when he was sliding sideways, you could see it was gone.
Let's take another look at it, see what happened. Oh, this is a bigger impact than we had thought. We'll go a little further back here. So you got Hewitt in the middle in 33. The 08 of Ken Couch is to the outside. Does Bigley slide up and make some contact, or does Couch come down? Bigley slides up, it looks, yeah. Gets Will crossed up. And with Will trying to save it, comes back into traffic. Big impact for Ken Couch. Roberts might get through cleanly, but Matt Nicholson appears to have gotten into the back bumper of Ken Couch. Doesn't look too terribly damaged, but a few drivers involved in this one. Leaders stay on the racetrack, but Chris Klein is going to opt to come down and pit again. Let's see what happens here with the 51 if he gets away with this one cleanly. Fuel only stop for Chris Klein. Well, we had someone texting me questions about the issue with Chris Klein earlier in that first pit stop because they're too nervous to get into the stream chat for some reason. But the question was, oh, they're allowed to do that? Well, yeah, they're allowed to do that, but no one would want to because it burns a set that you don't get back. Typically an iRacing glitch, and Chris, as you even mentioned, a lot of times it happens when you're making late changes to what the plan is as far as the pit stop is concerned. Sometimes iRacing doesn't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And with these cars, with these type of pit stops, you you choose right and left. You don't choose individual tires. It's right and left. So when you click it, if you're messing around with it, it changes that whole side of the car. So you lose 2 tires versus just the one, like you would for like a road race or something like that with sports cars, where you can choose individual tires. So it's even more costly here on these ovals.
I think in the modifieds you can do individual tires as well, because that does pretty accurately represent what they do in real life.
Yeah.
But I don't see why you couldn't do the same in this series, but I know in the modified end of things it's a requirement, at least as far as taking tires versus fuel. You've got to pick one or the other, and a lot of times you'll see if you watch a NASCAR Tour modified race, the guys will come down and pit, they'll take on tires, and then they'll come back down and take on fuel. And the whole purpose of that is trying to avoid some of these better funded modified teams. There's not a ton of them out there, but from hiring, Cup Series pit crews to come out and pit their race cars and have a huge advantage to those guys that just don't have the budgets.
Yeah.
Pace car is in, ready for the restart, lap 33.
Green.
It was a 10-lap green flag run, and we're back underway again. Will Jones gets the jump to fire off over Andrew Phipps. And there you go, Chris. I think there was a lot of communication going on between Will and David Bradford on that last restart, because he's fired out of a cannon here ahead of Dunkelberger and Andrew Phipps.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that kind of surprised me there, with Will taking the outside on the last one, with Bradford being 4th, he was there, that second car on the outside. Honestly, kind of surprised he didn't take the outside, and they are working together and give him a little countdown and see if he could leapfrog one of those 2 guys on the inside.
Everybody wants the single file train down into turn number 3, but as soon as they get to the corner, everybody's got a lane they want to work with. Interesting to note here, Will Jones, at least through the start-finish line section of the race course, running the bottom, but now through 1 and 2, doing the same. You had mentioned in that earlier run, Chris, that he's kind of stuck to the outside, but now changing things up. Is this just a matter of seeing how this race car is going to perform in 2 different lanes of the racetrack throughout the course of this race?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I also think part of it is, he's just wanting to keep the air on the nose of that 57 there behind him. These cars do have a tendency to get a little tight with the air. So the more you can keep it on their nose, then the tighter they are, the harder they're going to push up. One thing I saw here, looking at Will, it's kind of the difference that we saw earlier, and I noticed it briefly. I don't know if you can highlight it there, but in the corners, Will's car looks like it's a little bit more yawed out than 57, so that could be the difference in him liking a loose race car versus the 57 liking a little bit tighter car. So I think the 46 may know that and want to keep the air on that 57, make him even tighter than he already is.
Oh yeah, you're right. You can see it there from the blimp camera in the middle of 3 and 4 there. Jones rear into that race car, stepping out just a bit. But again, a guy like Will Jones and David Bradford kind of the same. They don't mind driving a loose race car. You've heard the old adage, loose is fast and on the edge of out of control. I don't want to quote Days of Thunder too much here tonight, but it is true. A loose race car does tend to be quick.
Yeah, unless you put me behind the wheel of a loose race car, then it's scary.
Ryan Dunkelberger, Bobby Hamilton Jr. battling for the 3rd spot. Bommy gets a nose to the inside. A little bit of a wall scrape for Dunkelberger off turn 4. Slows the momentum, and here comes David Bradford up the back bumper of the 25. Checks up a bit before corner entry. They have a battle for the lead here before we know it. Phipps really close to the back bumper of Will Jones into turns 3 and 4. Checks up, backs his entry up quite a bit. Has a bit of a run on exit. That's kind of the way you do things here. If you don't have the same exact speed, maybe you're a little faster if you do things different. Back that corner up, get back to the throttle sooner. Now he's alongside the race leader, Will Jones, in turns 1 and 2 for the lead. All right, one more Days of Thunder comment. There's calculating drivers and there's kamikaze drivers. I think David Bradford is one of those calculating drivers because he is so intelligent behind the wheel every place we go. He typically doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's very deliberate about what he does behind the wheel of a race car. If he's decided to do something, there's a reason for it. Meanwhile, Bobby Jr. up into the third spot. He's got to run down the backstretch. Looks to the outside of Andrew Phipps for second. And the caution is out deep in the field
Tell me
here.
about your car if you can.
Rodney Roberts and Colt Ansley involved. Ansley with severe nose damage on the number 86. We got Fubar Studio veteran. Says, this is a great broadcast. It's a name I haven't seen in our stream chat in the past, but thanks for checking in and appreciate the kind words. We're not professionals, but we try. All right, so caution number 3, 42 laps in, about 8 laps shy of halfway. Let's take a look what happened with the 86 and potentially Rodney Roberts. Oh, Corey Bigley in this as well. Has a couple of close calls here tonight, but this was more than a close call. Let's back it up a little further and see how this one developed. Frank Griffith in there as well. Justin Johnson, I think, in the 10 machine as well. He'll catch a big chunk of this. Griffith coming up the racetrack. And I think you kind of alluded to this earlier in the race or even pre-race, how that backstretch can be very deceiving. And you think you got room and you don't. Griffith comes up, gets Colt Ansley, and then Corey Bigley and Justin Johnson pile in after the fact.
Yeah, with that curvature there on the backstretch, when you're coming out of that corner, it looks like it's further away than it is, but then that curve brings it right back into your lap. So does, like you mentioned, like you said, it looks like the 54 coming up, like he had a little bit of room, and maybe Colt had a little bit faster run than he anticipated, and just all going for the same real estate.
I wish I could see it from a little bit more angle to the right here, but it looks like right at corner exit, I think Griffith's clear, right about here, and that's when he starts his jaunt up the racetrack. Let's see if we go on board Colt Ansley's machine on the roof and take a look what it looks like here. Yeah, he's clear for sure, but as he comes up, Ansley's got to run. And if we know Colt, he's not lifting.
I was going to say, in my experience, he's going to fill the hole if it's there. So,
and I'll defend Colt a
race
little
car
bit.
driver is what you're supposed to do.
I'll defend him a little bit too. There's been a couple instances with him and I where I didn't lift either, but
oh yeah, I think there was a couple at Watkins Glen, if I remember correctly.
What's the whole quote with Dale Earnhardt back in the day? Sometimes you wreck, but sometimes you win some races too. And Colt Ansley is proof of that because he's won a lot of races because he's not willing to give. So there's been a cycle of pit stops while we were watching those replays, and Brandon Minnick, with one arm and all, has cycled to the front of the field. He does have both arms. He's just only got one that he can use right now. But come to think of it, and I can't remember the guy's name. He was a driver in the Numb Thumbs Racing League not even that long ago. He even ended up winning a race. The guy has no arms, literally has no arms. Has a custom rig, built his own controller so he can drive, I believe, with his feet. You want to talk about dedication.
Yeah, we've got a guy, Jonathan Osborne, in the Vigilante Racing League that he's designed his own controller. He actually steers with his mouth.
You know what? Maybe I'm
Pretty
thinking
impressive.
that's probably who I was thinking of. But I think Osborne may have run some races with Numb Thumbs as well, because those guys are pretty tight. The Numb Thumbs Racing League and the VRL back in the day, they were close. Obviously, Derek has hung it up since then, but VRL still alive and well.
And Jonathan is fast with it too, and he'll run you tight. He'll run you door to door, and you won't even know that you're racing with anybody else. So
Fubar Studio veteran says, I am new. Well, either way, appreciate your presence. Hope you stick around for a while. Come back. We got these things on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. May even go to Wednesdays and Thursdays eventually. We'll see. Green flag in the air. Minnick and Nicholson on the front row. Minnick will get away. Again, driving without the use of one of his arms. Hopefully it's the left. Roberts looks to the inside, had a big run off of turn number 2 and quickly makes short work of Brandon Minnick. Now, they're on a similar tire strategy. In fact, Minnick has better tires. Roberts came down at the same lap as Brandon Minnick did, lap 30. Minnick took 4. Roberts either took none or right sides only. Drove it to the front. Oh, Nicholson in the fence off of turn number 2. We've seen that a few times out of the 4 here tonight. Roberts will maintain the race lead, gets clear of Brandon Minnick, and the yellow is out again for trouble in turn 3. Mike Fahey, Alan DeFries, and Bobby Hamilton Jr. tied up in this one. Alan DeFries and Mark Truxell also with pretty heavy damage in this. In fact, both of them going to be required to come to pit lane for repairs. Yeah, Bobby Jr. not happy with the 19. Well, with that at least helps us figure out where to look for this replay. Ooh, all right, we'll back it up a little further and get more of the story here. So they're basically 3 wide here. You've got the 65 of Keenan Kimber to the outside. Bobby's in the middle, headed down into 3. I hate to say it here, Chris. I know Bobby's frustrated, but I think he's the one that came down.
I was going to say, I don't think I'm putting that one on the 19 there.
Oh, and Truxell gets a huge piece. DeFries in it again. These guys, DeFries especially, he is always caught up in somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
I want to go on board Mike Fahey. Watch the roof cam here.
I don't know if maybe Bobby Jr.'s not happy because, you know, he put it, maybe Fahey put it 3 wide or something like that. But I saw it looked like Fahey just was holding that steady line where he was and looked like he was trying to get in the corner. And
we'll watch it again here. Fahey does come up just a touch if you look at that seam in the middle, but he stops at one point and then Bobby continues to come down.
Yeah. I mean, it's racing deal 3 wide going in the corner. It gets tight. So it's just unfortunate that took out some good cars in the process.
So, I mean, some of that could be, you know, Bobby did this for a living. It's a name we all know if you've been following NASCAR for any length of time. There could be more to the story there as to why Bobby's frustrated, but at least as far as the contact was concerned, I can't really put that on the 19. So Rodney Roberts and Andrew Phipps back to the point. Roberts in the 11. Again, his last pit stop at lap 30. Now the difference, Phipps, who has been fast tonight, fastest in practice all night long. His stop came at lap 42, which was about 6 laps ago. He took on 4. So right off the gate here, I'm going to give the advantage to Andrew Phipps on the restart. We'll see. Obviously, Roberts will have the advantage getting back to the throttle and firing off, but I'd say it'd be the exit of turn 2 or at latest the entrance to turn number 3 before Phipps is there.
Yeah, if the 11 gets a good jump on him, maybe he can bring the 46 with him, and maybe they can fight it out for second and third and give the 11 some breathing room. That's what the 11's hoping for anyway.
So we are on the 1 to go. The restart right at halfway, lap 50. We will go to our side-by-side break, but we'll give it a few laps before we do so. Get everybody strung out and comfortable again. Pace car's in.
Green flag, green flag.
Roberts gets the jump as expected, but settling into the second spot is Andrew Phipps off turn number 2. Has the run, takes the move, looks to the inside on Roberts down the backstretch. Now into turn number 3, takes the top spot away. I feel like Miss Cleo up here in the booth. Phipps with the race lead. Down the backstretch, Phipps with a 3.5 advantage over Rodney Roberts. Ryan Dunkelberger applying pressure to Roberts as well. Gets to the inside. Roberts is going to have his hands full here for a while. Dunkelberger saw Will Jones coming down the bottom of the racetrack, really closed off that run from the 46. Real loose in the middle of 1 and 2. Wow, he's hanging on to that thing. Dirt track in the 55 off turn number 2. Roberts closes the door, hangs on to the second spot. A rolling chicane is the 11 machine right now as they're 3 wide with Bradford at the top. 4 wide now, headed down into turn number 1. Jeremiah Holt, haven't talked about the 73 tonight, but he's up to the 4th spot, at least for now. No contact with Roberts and Dunkelberger. They straighten it back out, though. Meanwhile, Phipps loving what he sees in a rearview mirror. It's a 1 second advantage back to David Bradford. I think that's the only thing he's worried about is it's the 13 that's in the mirror.
Yeah, I was going to say 1 second looks good until you see this green car. 1 second just isn't enough.
Justin Johnson running in the 6th position. A strong run, a part-time effort here this season. Top 5, a full second behind the race leader, Andrew Phipps. I won't say it's surprising. We saw how fast Phipps was in practice, and he's proving it still. The question is, can he maintain that pace for the long run? We really haven't had a very long stretch of green flag action. Now a battle for second. Teammates Bradford and Jones. Bradford second, Jones in the 46 in the 3rd spot. That's the other thing with these two guys, Chris, is if one or the other knows the other is faster, they're not going to put up a lot of a fight, at least at this stage of the race. They'll let the other one go, make changes to the race car on the next stop if they have to, and try to pick up the pace. And you see it there. Bradford really didn't put up a lot of a fight. Real big wiggle there from Bradford in the middle of the corner. Opens the door for Ryan Dunkelberger. Jeremiah Holt all over the back bumper, the 13 as well.
Yeah, it definitely looks like David. I don't know if he maybe made some changes, made a change or two during a pit stop, but it looks like he is kind of searching around to find a little bit of stability in that car, a little bit more than what we were seeing earlier.
57 laps complete here from Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. We're going to step aside, get our Track Limits Network side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. You won't miss a moment. We'll be right back. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Chicagoland Speedway, under caution for the 5th time here tonight. We saw during the break, there was a caution with Ryan Dunkelberger involved with a teammate, I believe, but it did not bring out the yellow flag. I think it was Steve Luttrell, potentially. We'll have to go back and look at that, but the caution lap 49, no, that's not it either. Chris, did you catch who it was that was involved in that? Was it Josh Ingram?
No, I didn't see. I didn't see on the thing. It shows. I don't know how far back the Bobby Jr. thing is, but.
So this is Bobby leaving the pits. This was lap 49 for him, not for everybody else. I don't think that was it. So Minnick stays out on the racetrack, and we still have a good chunk of drivers in pit lane here. David Bradford being one of them. He drops the jack and heads back out. Now I think he'll beat teammate Will Jones across that line. He does. But furthermore, Andrew Phipps was first exiting pit lane, so he'll restart in the second spot to Brandon Minnick. Now Minnick pit last, lap 47. He did take tires at that point, but Phipps will have the advantage when we get back to green. So yes, when we go to a break and we're side by side, I'm not usually sitting in front of the computer. That's usually when I step out, take a bathroom break, refill the drink, whatever I got to do. So we didn't catch who brought out that yellow. The SDK gaming software kind of has everything on auto at that point. So if you didn't see it, you didn't see it. I do find it interesting here looking into the Discord for the PSRA Open ARCA series. There's only about 6 guys in a voice lobby right now. Prior to the race, it was full. Every driver that was in this series was in that room. I think levels of competition going up is they're all being secretive about where they're communicating and who with.
Green flag.
Shadows getting long here at Chicagoland Speedway. Won't be too long before the lights get popped on here at the Speedway. We'll see if we get to that point. Now, David Bradford makes a move to the inside on Brandon Minnick. likely to make short work of the 81. Bradford back to the race lead. Bradford continues to lead teammate Will Jones in the second position. Didn't take long for the 46 to get up there and contend, and now he's making a move, looking for the race lead off of turn number 4. Gets a nose to the inside of the left rear quarter of the 13 across the stripe. Bradford's going to lead it this time, but will he lead it next time? We got Dolly Wall, the 564, says 55 caused the caution. See if we get a minute here. We'll try and go back and take a look at that. Corey Bigley in... Nope, Corey Bigley's the 58, sorry. 55's Ryan Dunkelberger. Dunkelberger not on the racetrack, so let's go back right now and take a look, if we can. And it doesn't show him. So my guess, my understanding, maybe there was a netcode issue? Yep, can't get it to work. Well, we tried. And just like that, Will Jones takes over the top spot. That I can probably find. Here's the pass for the lead just a moment ago. Jones gets to the bottom. Just drives around Bradford on the low side of the track. Off turn number 2. So 72 laps complete. It's Will Jones, David Bradford, Andrew Phipps, Jeremiah Holt, Rodney Roberts, the top 5. 12 cars on the lead lap presently. Frank Griffith in 13th. The first car 1 lap down. But he is 2 laps down. Either way, if the caution comes out, he'll get one of those back. Top 5 all in their own little pack right now, but Cole Ansley in the 6th position. Remember, he was involved in a wreck early on and has gotten a lot of that damage repaired. In fact, that race car looks almost brand new.
Yeah, I think they put a whole new nose on it there, Steve.
Well, they did good work at that. It doesn't look like it's been involved in anything here tonight. Now he battles alongside Keenan Kimber. Kimber in the 65, the low side of the racetrack. Colt started 6th and runs 6th. Oh, and up the racetrack, Steve Luttrell in the fence. Pancakes it, but straightens it back out. Severe damage to the right side of the 36. No caution is waived as he's able to continue on. Gonna be a tough break for the 36 machine. 25 laps remain. Will Jones continues to lead. David Bradford and Andrew Phipps now battling for the 2nd spot. Off turn number 4, Jones just continuing to show his prowess here tonight.
The best thing he's got going for him right now, other than the blinding speed that he's had all night, is that a teammate of his back there that put up a fight. So,
yeah, I think Andrew Phipps has the faster race car right now, and I think just battling with David Bradford is what's really kind of saving Jones from that pressure. Phipps hasn't really shown an ability to pass Will Jones yet, but he was right there with him, just a quarter car length off the back bumper when he was able to drive up to the 46. Now he's got to deal with the 13.
Yeah, and David's doing a good job of keeping him, pinned there to the bottom off the corner. So with him having to shorten up that exit, all he's burning up the tires a little bit more with not being able to push it out and wash it out to the wall.
Does look like Phipps, though, is a little tight on exit, at least off of turn number 4. We'll watch it here for another lap. He does drift up to the door of Bradford, even on the exit of turn number 2. We'll see if the same happens here off of turn number 4, and I think that's really the advantage that David's got right now. He can keep the race car where it's at, and he's going to have to force Phipps to lift to avoid contact. This time, not so bad.
Yeah, David had a big wiggle there in 3 and 4. I think it allowed to make it in 2. Or not.
Side-by-side battle for second, headed down into turns 3 and 4. Bradford on the top of the racetrack. Phipps on the bottom, steps out, does the 57. We'll go from loose to tight to loose. Phipps, though, fast. Crosses the line in the second spot, still not quite clear of David Bradford.
And Will's looking in his mirror, loving this. He's not gaining a ton of time on him. He's put about 2/10 since the battle started. But he's every lap counted down is just one lap closer to not being.
Chris, I got to ask you, though, I mean, what do you do in that situation? If you're out in front, you see the guys behind you that are both fast, battling side by side, you've got a 1-second advantage. Do you just put the hammer down and try to build as much a gap as possible, or are you just trying to maintain that 1-second advantage? Because Bobby Jr. is going to be a part of this mix. Bradford nowhere to go, runs into the back or almost into the back of Bobby Hamilton Jr., slows the progress of the 13. That will easily let Phipps get clear.
Going back to your question there, Steve, if I'm 46, I'm just pushing as hard as I can, within reason. I'm certainly not taking unnecessary chances. I'm just trying to run consistent laps there and build as much of a gap as I can before somebody does get clear. As you saw, the 57 was able to get clear with some assistance there, but the 46, you just run consistent fast laps. That's all you're going to try to do.
See, typically in my mind, at least, if this is how I go about it on a road course. I mean, it's nice to go ahead and get that big advantage to put a huge gap back to second spot, but if there's a big battle happening in my rearview mirror and I can maintain the existing gap that I have while trying to take care of my race car, take care of the tires, I'm going to do just that. Even if it's only a second advantage, I'm just going to say, all right, if I don't need to push right now, I'm not going to push. I'm going to let it be, keep it at 1 second, and then when they get singled out single file, now I've got a little extra in reserve to get after it and kind of defend.
No, absolutely, and that is definitely a valid point too. Just to kind of, once they do get straightened out, figure out where they're gaining time, where they're losing time, and stuff like that too. So I don't know that there's necessarily a right answer. It just depends on each scenario is different. I think with these type of tracks with the tires making a big difference, with them pushing as hard as they were side by side, I think Will, even running as hard as he was, is probably still saving the tire, although they are gaining on him a little bit. About 2/10 here.
1.1 second advantage has shrunk to less than 0.8 of a second now. Jones out in front, and in fact, the last lap for Jones was a 30.49. Phipps was a 30.37. now it's down to 5.5, maybe 6/10 to second place with 14 laps to go. I got to think that we're all good to go to the end as far as fuel is concerned, but take a look at the strategy and the stint lengths. It's pretty consistent here, 20, 22, 22, 23. This will be the longest run, green flag run of the night, at least on this set of tires for Will Jones. Last stop coming at lap 64. Can he go all the way to the end on fuel? Certainly tires not necessarily the biggest concern, but the pace is, as Phipps has cut it down to 4.5 tenths now. Catching is one thing, passing is another. Can Andrew get by the 46 when he shows up? Want to make a note here too, Chris, is Bradford, even though he's running in third and lost that spot, he has not really lost a step there to the 57. He's right there, half a car length off the back bumper. This race could really go any direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And once the 57, if he catches the 46 and he starts racing him, look for Bradford to kind of fill a hole and see. I wouldn't even be surprised. Maybe he uses some of that to work with his teammate.
Here we go. Phipps to the bottom of the racetrack for the race lead here at Chicagoland, coming to 10 laps to go with ease. Gets to the bottom of the racetrack, and Will Jones off turn number 2. Jones going to battle back, and David Bradford's going to help him down the backstretch. Can't complete the pass. Andrew still side by side with the 46. Can he complete this pass? This is much like what you saw earlier in the race when Andrew got alongside Will Jones, couldn't get it done. Both times on the bottom of the racetrack. Does Andrew need to change lanes and try to go to the top to get this completed? Especially with David Bradford there in tow, he can certainly provide a bit of a bump draft down the backstretch. You got to be tricky there, though, because it is not a straight back straightaway. We've talked about that a bunch here tonight, but it does matter if you've got any input into the wheel and you get some help from the back that can create a problem. Bradford now trying to take advantage of the second spot. He gets to the outside of Andrew Phipps, has a big-time run down the backstretch, and he's clear. David Bradford up to P2 with 9 laps to go.
Yeah, I think you may be starting to see the byproduct of the 57 being stuck on the bottom for all those laps with Bradford, and then the laps with Jones. I think he probably put a little bit of heat in that right front. Like we talked about, looks like he's had a tighter car all night compared to the other guys, so maybe you're starting to see that front kind of out faster.
The other part of it, last pit stop for these guys, lap 64, just about 14 laps past halfway. You got to wonder if Phipps just doesn't have the long run speed. That quick lap in practice that he threw down, it was great, it was fast. But at what point in the practice session did he lay down that lap? And now David Bradford right to the back bumper of Will Jones. Darkness starting to fall down on Chicagoland Speedway. The lights really haven't come into full effect yet. It's looking a little dark out there, but enough that they can still put on a great show as Jones rockets down into turns 3 and 4 yet again, putting 2 car lengths on second place, Bradford and Phipps. Rodney Roberts now coming up into the fold. Let's take a look at him. Roberts on a very similar tire strategy, but maybe the setup geared towards the long run. Jeremiah Holt in the 5th position. The top 5 all grouped together here in the closing laps at Chicagoland Speedway. Holt drops it way down to the apron through the start-finish line section of the racetrack as David Bradford moves to the inside for the race lead. Bradford clear for now, but on the outside, Will Jones will have the run. He's got a nose just alongside the right rear of Bradford off turn number 2. Has the run down the backstretch. Even now, headed down into turn number 3. What a battle we're getting ready to see here to the finish. Coming to 4 laps to go. Steve Luttrell slow on the bottom of the racetrack from an earlier incident. He'll keep it to the bottom of the racetrack, give room for the leaders. Phipps Does not care. He's going to try and go up the middle if he can. If there's space, if there's momentum, he's going to make it work. Off turn 4, Jones clear of Phipps, and David Bradford heads to pit lane. With 3 laps to go, David Bradford on the pit lane here, potentially for fuel. Very interesting as he pit at the same time as Jones, Phipps, Roberts, and Holt, and Matt Nicholson. Bradford dropping through the running order. Other drivers coming down. Quick splash and go for David Bradford. He'll head back out. Will Jones do the same here momentarily? He's going to run it until it runs out, Chris. I don't know if he can make it. Yeah. We'll see.
I didn't see that one coming. I wasn't quite sure of the fuel window, but definitely didn't see that.
70% load of fuel. I thought they would have been good to the end, especially the way they were racing there at the end. Bradford goes down a lap. He's shown in the 9th position. Coming to the white flag, and here comes Will Jones.
Wow.
So Andrew Phipps will take over the top spot with the white flag lap. So Phipps in command with Roberts, Holt in the top 3. Does Andrew Phipps have enough fuel, enough Tiger in the tank to make it to the finish? Half a lap away from the finish. Andrew Phipps, fastest in practice, fast during the race, and has enough fuel mileage to make it. Crosses the start-finish line first, and he will win the Windy City 150. Wow. You wanted drama? You got drama. Andrew Phipps parks it in victory lane here, stretching the fuel, and he even cut the thing off, so he's got time to do donuts. Quick burnout for Andrew Phipps. He might be out of fuel, and indeed he is. Well, we're going to step out here. We'll get our break out of the way, but what a finish here at Chicagoland Speedway. Stay with us. We'll be back with our top 3 finishers after this. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Chicagoland Speedway, Andrew Phipps. He had the pace in practice. Used strategy to win this one here tonight. Stretches the fuel mileage to the very bitter end. Andrew Phipps, your race winner. We'll see if we can get a word with him here in just a moment. We'll see if we can find him here. Andrew Phipps, Steve and Chris in the Track Limits booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy. How you guys doing?
Andrew, congratulations, man. Awesome run here tonight, and it wasn't just luck. A little bit, yes, but you are the fastest driver in the practice session here tonight. Stretched the fuel to the very bitter end. You, Will Jones, and David Bradford, you guys all pit at the same time. But you managed to stretch the fuel to the checkered flag. You stay out there. You had the pace maybe to run those guys down. Wasn't sure if you were able to make the pass on Will Jones on track, but ultimately those guys had to come down and take on fuel in the closing laps. What was going through your mind there in the last handful of laps? Did you think the fuel was going to last?
I saved the whole last run, so I knew I could go. I said I had an extra lap and a half when I took the checkered. But sometimes, the iRacing, I don't have like an app. I was going off the iRacing one. Sometimes it'll lie to you. So I was just being a little cautious, and I was watching them, and I thought they were saving. I figured they were both going to make it. I had the speed, and I think they had the speed if they went full bore. But obviously they were trying to save. But I'm surprised they couldn't make it. They were running a little higher on the track. I was just committed to pinning the white line, and I was backing my entries up. I wasn't clutching till like 10 to go, just to get some good in the bank, and then I was going to go really hard the last couple laps, and I couldn't believe it. I was shocked they pitted.
We heard the car cut off there on the end of the race, the cool down lap, if you were. How much fuel did you really have in that thing?
It said I had a lap and a half, but I ran most of the cool down lap wide open, and then I did burnouts until it ran out. So I could have gone a lap and a half at speed more than what we had.
Well, fair enough. You had more than the rest of the guys, and it seemed like you had the pace to compete, certainly. If it really came down to everybody was on equal footing as far as fuel was concerned, did you have enough to get around Will Jones? It seemed like the bottom just wasn't working for you.
Probably not. I ran the bottom just to save right front. I never even ran one lap on the top full bore, but I was really fast on the top. I could run the top out wide open at the end of a fuel run. So when it was go time, I could have gone up there. It seemed like the bottom was really good, and it saved tire and it saved fuel, so I just stayed down there. I saw that the 46 was a little better than me, but when I was following him, he looked a little tight, and I thought that we never got a long run. We never got to run a full tank of fuel, and I thought that's where my advantage was. I thought the last 10 laps of a fuel run, I was going to be really, really good. Just never got to show it. We kept getting yellows and shortening it, but I was still taking care of my stuff and just being really cautious.
Well, with that said, you thinking that Will Jones was a little bit faster. I know this is only a one-lap comparison, but the best lap of the day for you was a half-tenth faster than the 46.
Wow, I'm surprised. It could be draft too. You never know. The 46 and the 13 were really fast, and once I got behind him earlier, and he was better than me center off. I was a little free, but it kept the car turning for the last 10 laps. And I could see he was a little tighter than me, so he could use a little more throttle, and he was running up more of an arc line where you can carry more speed. He caught me when I got out in the lead and I was in fresh air. He was definitely gaining on me before the yellow came out. So I don't know. He was really good. I think I was really good. I was just trying to prepare myself for if we were going to go green flag pit stops. I think that would have been great if we could have done some green flag stops and used up all the tires and see who really had something with 10 to go. Because in practice, that's where all the hard work running the bottom showed off in the last 10 laps of a run, because those other guys just died. I mean, it was a huge speed difference in the last 10 laps. Once the right front goes away and you can't stay in the throttle all the way around, then you just lose so much time.
Well, next week we go to Richmond Raceway, another place that tires are going to matter. The fall off going to be significant there. How do you prepare for the short track style racing we're going to see at Richmond next week?
Well, it's going to be push and shove, I believe, with these guys. There's some really good drivers in here, but some of these guys are really aggressive too. So it's going to be a survival deal. I just got to make it to the end. I love short tracks. I love Richmond. I won there in this car earlier in the year in another league. So I'm excited to go there. And I have been working on a setup, and we'll see what we can do.
Andrew Phipps, winner here tonight at Chicagoland Speedway, looking to make it 2 in a row at Richmond Raceway next week. Andrew, congratulations. Who do you want to thank before we let you step out?
I want to thank you guys for the broadcast. I really appreciate it. Love going back and watching it. Friends and family can watch it. And thanks to all my teammates and practicing with me with the off time. We had 2 weeks off, and so we had plenty of time to practice. So I felt like I was pretty prepared. You just never know until you get out here on race day and see the other guys. So I think we did good, and I can't wait for the next one. Thank you.
All right, Andrew. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week.
All right, take it easy.
Andrew Phipps, race winner here at Chicagoland Speedway. Next, we're going to talk to the 11 of Rodney Roberts, who really didn't have his lack of excitement here tonight. We'll pull up the 11 here and see what he has to say about his run this evening. Rodney Roberts, Steve, and Chris in the Track Limits booth. You got a copy?
Sure do.
Rodney, congratulations, man. Second place finish, 15th place start. Didn't have that short run speed, but at the end, longest run of the night. You drove it up to a second place finish and definitely had some pace there at the end. Walk us through the closing laps of your race. Was there anything you could have done there late to run down Andrew Phipps?
Probably could have went out maybe a lap sooner. I had one to the good, but didn't really want a chance or nothing like that. He ran a good race. They all did up there, and until the two had to hit everything else, I was just happy to get a top 5.
Next week is Richmond Raceway, going short track racing. I know the 11 historically has run very well on short tracks. Is that going to be the same story for you next week?
Hopefully so. I'm going to probably practice a lot there and hopefully bring the 11 winning. Shoot, I can't even talk. Bring the 11 to victory lane next week.
With that said, just talking about strategies on the evening, some of the fast drivers here tonight, Will Jones, David Bradford, having to pit very late in this race for fuel. You guys all pit about the same lap in the closing stages of this one here tonight. Was there any kind of fuel save involved in your evening tonight?
Yeah, that last restart, I started saving just a tad bit already. Just where I didn't have to at the end, where I can hopefully push them to run them out of fuel, where I would be good.
Well, it worked out for you in the end. A second place finish, certainly a strong points night here at Chicagoland Speedway. So job well done at that. Ronnie, congratulations. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
I want to thank my team, Wes Lenore, Keenan, Jason, Aaron, Dominic, and all of them, Derek and David, his team, and you for all y'all do and everything else.
All right, Rodney. Well, thanks for the kind words, man. Good luck next week.
Thank you, man. See y'all.
Rodney Roberts, runner-up here at Chicagoland Speedway. Next, we'll talk to the 73, the Splash Auto Spa Chevrolet SS. We'll pull him up into the booth and get a word with our third place finisher. Jeremiah, it's Steve and Chris in the booth. You got us?
Yes.
Jeremiah, congratulations, man. Third place finish here tonight. Solid qualifying effort. Put it in the top 5, so that kind of gave you that advantage from the outset. What was the strategy coming into tonight? We didn't see a ton of you. You didn't kind of make a whole lot of waves if we're going to talk about Splash Auto Spa, but you still finished this thing third. What was the game plan coming into this evening?
Just trying to navigate through the fuel runs, race clean, no fast repairs. So trying to make clean laps and be there in the end.
Fuel save wise, we kind of asked Rodney and Andrew the same questions. You guys all pit about the same time. A couple of the front runners had to stop late to top off for fuel. You didn't have to, neither did Roberts and Phipps, but what was the key to that this evening?
Just trying not to be too aggressive. I lifted a little early and picked it up late. Try not to be too aggressive so I could be there in the end.
Well, you certainly were there at the end, looking for more of the same next week at Richmond Raceway. Fuel likely to not be much of the story at Richmond. Tires certainly going to come into play. How do you prepare for the short track down in Virginia?
Just practice and hope we get on a good setup and try to make some clean laps.
Certainly looking forward to it. Jeremiah, congratulations. Third place finish here tonight. Who do you want to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank ProSim Racing Alliance for putting on hosting the league, Track Limits Network, and the Bump and Run podcast for everybody making it happen, and also Matt Nicholson for putting us on a good setup tonight.
All right, Jeremiah. Well, again, congratulations. A job well done here tonight. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck in Richmond.
Thank you.
Jeremiah Holt, third place finisher here tonight, Chicagoland Speedway. That'll do it for the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. Let's get into our race results. We talked to our top three already: Andrew Phipps, Rodney Roberts, and Jeremiah Holt. Fourth place was Keenan Kimber. Matt Nicholson came home in the fifth spot. Strong run for the 10 of Justin Johnson. He finishes sixth. Cole Ansley was seventh. Will Jones was eighth. David Bradford, after having to stop late, he'll finish ninth, one lap down. Steve Luttrell was 10th. Brandon Minnick was 11th. Corey Bigley was 12th. Frank Griffith finished in the 13th spot. Chris Klein, 14th. 15th place was Ken Couch. 16th was Mike Fahey. 17th, Bobby Hamilton Jr. Ryan Dunkelberger finished in the 18th spot. Alan DeFries was 19th. 20th went to Mark Truxell. 21st finisher was Will Hewitt. Terry Wilson, 22nd. Josh Ingram was 23rd. AJ Rogers, 24th. And 25th, Drew Blaze, credited with that position, but did not take the green flag here tonight. Not sure the issue there with the 88. Would have loved to see Blaze run here tonight. Chicagoland likely would have been a contender, but not to be here this evening. That's going to wrap it up here for us here this evening. Again, thank you, Chris, for jumping up in the broadcast booth to help us out in the absence of Zach Millett. Look forward to, I think you're going to be up here next week as well. I think this is night one. I got to double check. I think Millett might be back next week, but either way, if he is here, come on up, join us. We'll have a three-man booth. I'm good with that.
Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate you letting me come up here. I look forward to it every time I'm up here.
Got more racing coming up here on Track Limits Network tomorrow night, the IROC Challenge Series, and then on Tuesday, the 0X Strategy Series. They're out at Phoenix Raceway. I think tomorrow we're at Michigan Speedway in this same car, the ARCA car. It's going to be a 101-lap event, the Charity Motorsports 202 at Michigan Speedway. That'll be a fun one to watch. The ARCA cars especially put on a great show there at Michigan, so tune in for it. Thank you guys all for tuning in here tonight. Thank you for those who jumped into the stream chat tonight. Keeping things busy there. Chris Elliott coming in there in the clutch at the very end. Interesting strategy there, Cotton. It was. It worked for some of them, not for others. But thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.